SOCE State Exam Questions for Florida Corrections 2026. Probable cause. A fair probability or reasonable grounds to believe that a crime was committed, based on the totality of the circumstances. Probation. A court-ordered sentence that places a person under the supervision of a probation officer under specified court-ordered terms and conditions. Professionalism. Behavior that demonstrates good character and is marked by pride in self and career. Proofreading. Checking a report to ensure that all words are spelled correctly, punctuation is used accurately, appropriate words are capitalized, and proper grammar is used. Proactive management. A form of confinement where an inmate is placed into segregated housing because of concerns for their safety. Qualify immunity. A defense that protects the officer from personal liability. Reasonable accommodation. Any modification or adjustment that will allow a qualified inmate with a disability to participate in the programs, services, or activities of an institution or facility. Reasonable force. The type and amount of force that the officer reasonably believes necessary to overcome resistance. Reception. A multifaceted process in which an inmate is admitted to a state institution. Release. The process by which an inmate is discharged from a county detention facility or state correctional institution. Report. A written document prepared by a correctional officer that gives information about an incident, event, situation, or person encountered by the officer. Riot. A disturbance with uncontrolled violence by inmates, usually directed at the administration. A riot is not necessarily localized. Routine mail. All mail received by inmates, including publications, except legal mail and privileged mail. Rule violation or infraction. An activity or behavior that is not permitted in the correctional facility. Safety Data Sheet, SDS. Required for any hazardous material shipped to and from a correctional facility, it includes the manufacturer's name, the product name, and spill and leak procedures. Sally Port. A system of two openings, doors or gates, designed to open only one at a time. Search. Governmental intrusion into a place where a person has a reasonable expectation of privacy. Security equipment. Any item or technology used to enhance or maintain protection, and to ensure safety. Security Threat Group, STG. A criminal enterprise, an organization of a continuing nature that engages repeatedly in acts of crime, and individually or collectively poses a safety or security threat within, as well as outside of a correctional facility. Seizure. The act of taking possession of evidence or contraband for a violation of rule or law. Sentence. A group of words that contains a subject, a noun, a verb, action, and usually an object, affected or receives action, and that expresses a complete thought. Sentence fragment. A group of words that lacks a subject or verb or fails to express a complete thought. Sexual abuse. Inmate, detainee, or resident by another inmate, detainee, resident, staff member, contractor, or volunteer where the victim does not consent, is coerced by overt or implied threats of violence, or is unable to consent or refuse. Sexual harassment. Repeated and unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or verbal comments, gestures, or actions of a derogatory or offensive sexual nature by one inmate, detainee, or resident directed toward another. Repeated verbal comments or gestures of a sexual nature to an inmate, detainee, or resident by a staff member, contractor, or volunteer, including demeaning references to gender, sexually suggestive or derogatory comments about body or clothing, or obscene language or gestures. Situational awareness. The act of paying attention to what is going on around you. Slang. Informal vocabulary composed of invented words, or arbitrarily changed words, that are often used by a specific group, region, trade, or profession. Sovereign immunity. A list of circumstances and requirements that must be met before the agency or any of its employees can be sued in a state tort action, provides protection for state and county, governmental, correctional agencies and its employees as per S. 768.28 FS. Special populations. Classifications of inmates that an officer may encounter in their day-to-day routines that require different interactions or services. Spiral search pattern. Usually used by one person, a search pattern that begins at a central point and moves in increasingly larger circles to the outermost boundary of the search area. Squelch. A circuit that suppresses the output of a radio receiver if the signal strength falls below a certain level. Statement. A permanent oral or written record of a person's account of an incident or occurrence that may or may not be made under oath. Stereotype. Judging a group of people who are different from you based on your own or others' opinions or encounters. Strip/line search pattern. Usually used in a predetermined area by several people, the search area is divided into lanes that are searched by one or more people in both directions until the entire area has been examined. Substance misuse. The inappropriate use of a substance that negatively affects the mind and body, adversely impacting an individual's social or occupational life and psychological or physical health. Tagging. The marking of a security threat group's territory on a wall, fence, or ground. Text speak. Language characteristic of text messages and digital communications, typically using abbreviations, acronyms, or initials, and usually not following standard grammar, spelling, or punctuation. Trailing or chase vehicle. An armed escort vehicle used during transport to follow an inmate transport vehicle and to provide additional security. Transfer. Movement of an inmate from one housing location to another. Transgender. A person whose gender identity differs from the sex they were assigned at birth. Transport. When an inmate is removed and escorted from the confines of a secure facility to another location. Unusual occurrence. An incident that is out of the ordinary and disrupts the normal facility operations and routine daily activities. Values. Principles, standards, or qualities considered worthwhile or desirable, core beliefs or desires that guide or motivate a person's attitude and actions. Verbal commands. The authoritative statement used to direct, influence, or give orders to a person or group. Verbal warning. A statement directed to an inmate that they have committed a rule violation and should stop the behavior immediately. Voyeurism. An invasion of privacy of an inmate, detainee, or resident by staff for reasons unrelated to official duties, such as peering at an inmate who is using a toilet in their cell to perform bodily functions, requiring an inmate to expose their buttocks, genitals, or breasts, or taking images of all or part of an inmate's naked body or of an inmate performing bodily functions. Youthful offender. Any offender younger than 24, who has either been sentenced as an adult by the judge or assigned youthful offender status by the Department of Corrections. Zone/quadrant search pattern. Used for searching an area that is large, the area is divided into 4 sections and searched using a spiral, strip/line, or grid search pattern. Abdominal evisceration. An open wound where organs protrude from the abdominal cavity. Ability. The capacity a subject has to carry out his or her intent to cause death or great bodily harm. Action, cycling the gun. The mechanism of a firearm involved with presenting the round or cartridge for firing, and in removing the spent casing and introducing a fresh round or cartridge. This is also known as underscore 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 underscore.